Broadcasting just steps from the Las Vegas Strip, it's the Digital Advocate.
Welcome to the Digital Advocate. Today we have Brent Carlson with Corporate Capital Inc. Brent has been my client for, wow, it seems like forever, doesn't it?
Many years.
It's been a couple years. Brent and I met when he worked at another company. And he went out and formed, when did you form your company, corporate?
The end of 2013.
End of 2013. So for right at 2 years, wow, we're on an anniversary here. Right at 2 years, we've been together. And as much as I don't mean to, like immediately put down my clients, is when we met each other, to say you were a digital newbie, would that be an accurate statement in where you were?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And since then, we've done so many things together. We've built a network. We actually do websites together. We do all sorts of things. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your company and how it's grown over the last year and exactly how digital works in with your company?
Okay, yes. Corporate Capital, we're a full-service incorporating and asset protection company. We help businesses structure their company with proper structuring through corporations, LLCs, regardless of what state they live in. We can set them up, help them with their taxes and their bookkeeping. A big part of our company, though, is organization. We use a CRM.
Correct. Oh, that's right. Sugar. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we put that together in the beginning.
Yeah, you helped us put that together, which was really good for client relation tools and keeping track of our orders and where we're at with our company.
And then recently, you've actually gone out and found and done a lot of work with SEO and a lot of like stuff with Constant Contact. Isn't that one of the programs that you're using now to send out newsletters and all of that type of stuff? You do that too on a regular basis, right?
Correct.
You've grown into that.
Correct.
Over the last couple of years.
I use Constant Contact probably every day, if not every other day.
Pretty much.
This time.
Yeah. And then one of the other things, obviously, is your website. And that's something that we've looked at, but we haven't really delved into yet because so far it's been working for you.
Correct.
But one of the things I'd like to do today, and this is one of the things that surprises everyone, is we are going to issue, here it comes, the Digital Advocate Challenge. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But right now, what I'd like to do, Brent, is introduce you to Chris at Mopro. Chris is one of my partners in the web business, and Chris has just an awesome product that we've used. We've just recently worked with one client, and I'd like you to kind of go through that and talk to us a little bit about your product, Chris.
Great, Brent. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So here at Mopro, what this really is an idea about, I'd say about 10 years in the making. And our company started by doing large interactive builds for really about 150 of the most major brands on the planet. So anyone from Cinnabon.com to Nature Valley's commercial campaign. We built Levi's mobile app, work with companies now. We have an official partnership with Pepsi. So big brand is kind of our background. And what we really wanted to do was ultimately kind of cater that same experience, but really to all the local businesses out there, because everyone needs to have the same kind of big brand voice. Everyone wants to look big brand. They want one system that's going to tie everything together. They want experts that are going to be able to build it and maintain it, because time is obviously going to be any business owner's most valuable commodity. So we went underground for about 10 years, and what we really architected is what we think is the all-encompassing digital ecosystem, if you will. We like to use our euphemisms over here, but at the same time, it's going to be more than web. It's going to be mobile. It's going to be your social media. It's going to be everything involving, we like to use the term gamification and future-proofing our clients. We know technology is going to cannibalize itself really every 3 months or so, and what you need is a platform that's always going to be constantly evolving with your business, as well as technology as a trend. So what we were able to do was kind of a case study here with Nick and his client Joni, LV Wedding Connections. And what was really interesting when Nick first brought this project to me is I actually kind of did a little background research and realized there's about 114,000 weddings that happen in Las Vegas on a yearly basis. And when you really break that down, it's something along the lines of 360, I want to say, what was the number? Anyway, a large amount a day. So when you really consider just a very competitive market, the number one place that people are going to go to now to really decipher if you're going to be the best choice for their business is going to be web. Consider about 15 years ago, someone would have looked you up in the yellow pages, and 10 years ago, they probably would have sat in front of a desktop computer. But now, almost how people make their business decisions is just pulling out their mobile phones. And the question is going to be, are you easy to be found? And when they find you, what are they experiencing? What's that feel? So we kind of play to these sciences of conversion in terms of how we not only architect the websites, but what we kind of want that feel to be, what we want that mood to be, because people don't like to be sold, but people will let you educate them and they will let you move them. So how do we get to that very clear linear path to conversion? So what I actually have kind of pulled up here is really kind of the first steps that someone would honestly take when it comes to kind of the web world. And just in a basic Google search, if you were to say Las Vegas weddings, and what's the first experience that somebody's having when they come on? So clearly everything to the right here, most people are familiar with. If they don't know the term search engine marketing, they at least know what are the quote unquote ads, what are the people that pay for their placement. And in all sense, it's somewhat avoidable at the same time, but every good business should also have some sort of an SEM footing. But what we always kind of naturally scroll to, ethically, is what's going to be those organic rankings. So where people fall within a certain page placement within Google is obviously what people want to prioritize themselves on. So, it's very, very tough to have, what we would consider to be a first page placement when it comes to Las Vegas weddings and, a sole proprietor trying to do, Las Vegas wedding connecting. However, the biggest thing that we wanted to do was amplify what Joni currently had. So, obviously this is kind of a work in the making. It is not a live site just yet. But what I did want to at least kind of display is a little bit of the before and after. So when Nick first brought me this project, it was really interesting because I was very kind of taken back by the logo and how it really didn't kind of fit.
Yeah, we're working on that. That's going to be stage 2 for sure. And the funny part about that is when you pull this first landing page, it's like, oh, well, it's not all that bad, right? And
it's not. And you would be really surprised because, in all honesty, Joni did kind of hit home on some very important parts. Like, we would use the same form of content that she uses because ultimately the brain's going to process visuals at a rate 50 times faster than text. So we kind of want the imagery to at least see it through. However, some of the things that I really noticed was just, it's somewhat of an eyesore. The content isn't of the highest quality.
Come on, click into it. Don't hold on. Let's look at it. Here it comes.
There it is.
There it is, gang. Thank you.
So yeah, this is really kind of what we had in terms of when people would dive into the site. Now the problem with this is, does this convey enough to invest in the site? We want to focus on something we call bounce rate that Google really wants to prioritize now. So if I'm going to your website and immediately leaving, that's something Google notices and ultimately wants to dock you in terms of their search priority. So what we need to do is capture that user right off the bat. So my team, what we do in really a matter of 24 hours is data mine everything about the client that they have online. So their website, their social media feeds, their testimonials and review portals. And what we're able to do is kind of architect what we think would be a really strong first impression. So, and a first version, of course. Now, we're not psychics. We can't portray to be psychics. Obviously, there's a lot that kind of goes into a business, and when they build their business, we obviously want to have a very collaborative process. But we like to think that the first steps that we took were at least maybe 70 to 75% of the way there. So what you'd be looking at now with the brand new LV Wedding Connections is a very new platform that we call HTML5. And really, what that's just geek speak for is a smart website. So it's always going to understand the size of the screen that you're looking at it from. So if I was able to bring the screen size down to what, if I was looking at this on an iPad or, the screen size of, say an iPhone, it all is smart technology that's going to automatically adjust. This is mobile responsive presence. So really important now, especially when you consider about April 21st is when Google kind of came out and said hey, this is mobile get-in now. If your website's not mobile responsive after this date, we're now going to be docking you in the search rankings because a large majority of searches are being done on those devices in everyone's pocket. So Everything in terms of conversion is still into play. Like, we wanted to give an automatic click to call Joni, so if anyone wanted to book a wedding right off the bat, we don't want to give any barriers to that. But now, as you scroll through the site, we took a little bit of a different science to how the user should interact with it. So the first thing that you're going to notice is what we call image parallax. And again, it's just geek speak for like imagery scrolling over other imagery. But we wanted it to be very, very simple on the home page. Simple enough that we wanted the user to be able to engage deeper and deeper into the site. So this is going to convey still a really large Vegas theme, but we want to get at least snippets of information that kind of give Joni's users the idea of, entertaining, diving deeper and deeper in. So
well, and that's important on a mobile platform too, because typically they'll pull the home page and they just scroll. That's one of the big things when you're on a phone. You rarely navigate through. So that's why it's a really important concept, is to have that mobile ready platform.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think what you'll see here too is that most of the website has been tested on not only every web browser, but really every phone screen size too. So it is meant to fit. Now you'll see some of the features that I think are really interesting. But when you consider too Joni as just a one-person operation, her biggest stage has to be social media, right? When you can consider there's 1 billion people on it, it's free to use. That's the way to kind of get the most outreach. So by clicking her social, what this is actually going to bring us to is a really fun feature that I call her social wall. And what this is going to do is really give, two major purposes. The first is giving kind of Joni that perfect stage to kind of control the conversation online, right? It's a very humanizing platform. People are going to see reviews on Joni. They're going to see her social media feeds. But what we want her website to be is a very official representation of her business. However, we still want very informal, humanizing elements to this. So what's great about this is every time she posts, she's actually going to be updating her website in real time. So what Google actually wants to do is prioritize that fresh content. So every time she posts, it's actually showing that there's content that can be shared and commented on coming through her website. So very, very big SEO tool here in terms of site interaction and where you fall within the search engine priorities. But what's even cooler about this, and I referred to a term before, we said digital ecosystem, and I know it sounds daunting, but it's more than a website that the business owner has to have now. What you really need is a range of tools that are going to help power your business online. So what we've tied to Joni's website is what we call a digital command center. Most people would call this a back end to a website. I think it has a few additional features to it that make it a little more empowering to a business owner. Now, the first thing that someone's going to come across is going to be their social publishing feature. And what we want to be able to do, instead of having to make Joni post 10 different thoughts to 10 different systems, is really sync this all up so she only has to log into one place to post one thought. Let's say, get your wedding booked today before the new year. Now I can drag and drop in a photo. I can choose all my different social media darlings that I want this going out to with really one click.
Yeah, you guys missed that because we were on the screen, but Brent just looks at me and goes, "Oh,
that's awesome.
That's pretty cool."
That is.
It also has the blog down there too, right?
Absolutely, and I'll show you the blog feature too. But what this is really meant to do also is save you time, because really people know they should be posting. And social media is almost like working out, right? If you're not doing it every single day, you're not going to see results.
Right.
And
Brent knows this.
Yes.
He's gone through a lot of training to get to understand what that means.
Yes.
He's very familiar.
Perfect. So what we've also now created, which is kind of my favorite feature within the social publisher, is the ability to schedule these posts out in advance. So Google actually did a study where if you post once a day, 5 days a week, that comes out to be 220 days a year roughly. And when the average Facebook user has about 333 friends, you're reaching about 72,000 people a year just by posting once a day. But people don't always have the time to log in. So what this feature will allow you to do now is take 5 to 10 minutes to really schedule out social media for the duration of the month. And we give you daily inspiration where you can actually come on and get some sort of, if you're having writer's block in terms of what you should be posting, we give you recommended topics in terms of engaging with your audience. So let's just say that we wanted to go ahead and send out this one thought. So we actually made sure that the interface of it is rather simple to understand too. So your social publisher is going to be like a letter going out in the mail. Your blogging feature that we've now incorporated too is going to be like a clipboard for your thoughts. So one place where you can actually type in the headline for the day, as well as anything involving images. So if we wanted to make a blog category, say the Johnson wedding, and be able to have a running post of all of the different imagery that we want to include from the wedding, Joni has the ability to kind of have that case study portfolio to showcase on her website now.
Well, and that's something she and I have talked about. It's really important because what they do now is with the wedding pictures is they actually give them a card, give them a website, and what they found is they send that website to all their friends, to everybody that couldn't be there. Everybody takes this login, they order mugs and all sorts of stuff with the pictures from the website. So that's a very similar and cool feature that will work really well for her.
Absolutely, and I think one of her, we don't like to say necessarily an error because there's so much to understand, but we can say a minor mistake that Joni made is thinking she should only be on Facebook. So what we've been able to do now is figure out how to brand her properly, really not just across Facebook. Obviously, there's 1 billion people on it, it's free to use, but in the time we've talked now, about 3.5 million tweets have gone out. So need to make sure that at least you have a presence on Twitter as well as all of these other social media platforms. So our team makes sure to actually brand her properly across these because even if she's not currently using them, her clients are. And on the flip side, we need to what we call localize her. So there's about 113 local search listings in Las Vegas alone that we need to make sure have consistent names, address, phone numbers, hours of operation, photos, need to be across these. This is almost like the 2015 version of the Yellow Pages. And if we were to put these into, again, layman's terms, it's almost like if you were to sprinkle these across a database like breadcrumbs, like Hansel and Gretel, in a hope that all roads lead to your website. So very important in terms of online visibility. And again, that really organic SEO building that we want to make sure that we do. Got to give Joni a strong footing here. So now what's I tend to kind of geek out about pretty hard here, which is a really fun feature. And again, it just speaks to our development team and how we're kind of constantly developing new features on a 6-week cycle, is how we've created social media to act as a two-way street. So what you're going to be seeing here is what we call our market radar. And really what this is going to house is 2 main features. So now, again, Joni, as a one-woman operation, there's a lot being said about her on there. So what we've now been able to do is channel every review about LV Wedding Connections. And again, I apologize, it's a demonstration digital command center. We haven't taken this live just yet with Joni. But the ability to see everything being said about her in real time in one place. So what this is now going to do is actually pull from her Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, Yelp, Foursquare, and Google Alerts. So anytime that LV Wedding Connections is being mentioned, she's going to see the review here in one place. And what we use is our own sentiment analysis to be able to tell her, if it's a negative, positive, neutral review. And she has the ability to respond to any comment directly from you.
Well, and doesn't she also have the ability to look at her competitors? Isn't that something?
You're stealing my big reveal, Nick. But yes, absolutely. We love this feature so much that we actually had one client mention to us, hey, this is great, but I'd love to actually be able to know what's being said about all my local competition. So, so we created that same technology so that she can actually spy up to 5 to 10 major competitors. So if there are 5 to 10 kind of premier Las Vegas wedding planners in her area that, she wants to be able to kind of keep those same tabs on, this is her kind of wedding recon portal, if you will. So absolutely. So that same feature is there. And it's really important too when you consider kind of your website having to be your best salesperson, and you want to have that perfect kind of marketing person as well kind of tied to this. And this kind of just combines it all to be that one perfect superhuman. Now, on the same side of things, we always want to make sure that anything in terms of changes to the site, she'll be able to do now. Her SEO is absolutely important. This is where our team pretty much interacts with keywording and the site descriptions and how it should all be laid out. If for whatever reason, she has out-of-town weddings that she wants to cater to and have her website translate in up to 67 different languages.
Which is huge.
Absolutely.
Especially for Vegas.
Huge for her. You wouldn't believe how important this product is.
Yeah,
This alone, it just makes a world of difference. It really, really does.
And anyone just flying in to make a one-night mistake, right? So,
Exactly.
absolutely. So, but yeah, and I mean, again, it just kind of speaks to the depth of it all. And, you know, we use a term here, and you know, I'm not part of the communications department. However, we say death to do it yourself. I never think you should promote the word death. However, you know, again, she's not a tech genius, right? And a lot of what we want to make sure that we can do is provide that same magic that's conveyed in the product to the service as well. So being able to actually have kind of, you know, these teams being able to cater to it, get it done quickly, expedite the service, and be able to kind of track the analytics on an ongoing basis. We need to make sure that this website's obviously bringing somewhat of a return on it. So this is where you'll be able to track all the visitors that come to it, where people are tracking you from, how quick that bounce rate is that, you know, we gave reference to, the average time that users are spending on the site, where they're looking you up from the most. And you consider Vegas in terms of, you know, mostly tourism. You want to know kind of your heat map, where people are tracking you from properly, and really kind of the top keywords that are helping to find you too. So, but yeah, again, just, you know, making sure that anything in terms of constant updates and involvement, you know, we make sure that, you know, we can do it all here.
Well, and that was one of the things that initially, you know, led me to Mopro and why we developed the partnership. And another thing that we ran into, and, you know, this was one of the key components as to why we ultimately moved a lot of our clients over to Mopro. And you're familiar with this because one of the things that Brent does is Brent's clients come to him to build credit. Mm-hmm. And it's very important that even on a very basic level that they have a website.
Absolutely.
So your products that you sell as part of your portfolio are basically $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, depending upon the complexity and whether they want to sell products and that type of thing. So that's pretty well the price point that you found through your businesses that you use, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And now, for the Mopro advantage, the big thing about Mopro is $199 a month.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
No obligation. You don't like it, you don't use it, you move off of it. It's just a unique platform. And this, Chris, is where I've came up with what we're going to call the digital challenge. I challenge you. It is now roughly, okay, it's 4 o'clock, so you get an extra hour. But let's say it's roughly 5 o'clock on Wednesday by the time we get off of this, and he goes and tells everybody what I just did to him. At noon on Friday, 36 hours away, I'm going to show up at Brent's office with a video camera, and we're going to record what you have delivered to him. So, buddy, you got 36 hours to show him what you would do if I called you up and said, hey, here's corporate capital. They're really interested in you. Show us what you can do. So
that
there you go,
great.
folks. We have the first ever digital challenge by the Digital Advocate. And we'll follow it up at the end of the week with a nice little video. You know, if you've ever seen Dr. Phil, he always has that after show video thing where he walks around and he shows it. Well, that's kind of what we're going to do here. So, buddy, there you go. You got your challenge. Do you accept the challenge of the Digital Advocate?
You know, I think my team's up for the task. I'll get the troops ready to rock.
And Brent, does this sound like something fun for you to be involved in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what a surprise! Didn't know. That's great.
Yeah. Well, don't feel bad.
The
producer of the show back here that's doing all the behind the scenes work, he had no clue what I was coming in with today either. But we want to do that. You know, that's part of the Digital Advocate. It's the digital world.
I'm very happy to meet you now, Chris.
So here we go, guys.
Likewise.
We want to thank you both, Chris and Brent, for being on the Digital Advocate. We've issued our first challenge, and with that, we'll give you a follow-up right after we complete this show. Thank you.